Hello, everyone. This is Jay Dobbins, your host of the Marvel DC Universe Fan Club, and I am so happy to be celebrating our 100th episode, which will be about the Black Panther movie. So I'll be doing a review on that, and I would like to thank the fans and listeners out there for supporting this podcast. Never could have gone this far without you. Because to be honest with you, I didn't think I would be able to go this far, but wow. Episode 100. I am so happy. Especially, since the 100th episode is going to be about the review of the Black Panther movie. So thank you guys very much for listening out there, and I love you all. So, let's get down to it. The Black Panther movie. So the Black Panther came out February 16th. Of 2018, which was a month ago, during Black History Month, pretty much, or in the middle of Black History Month. So the movie starts off as a narration. So I couldn't tell if it was Jubu telling the history of Wakanda to his young son Eric, or maybe it was T'Chaka who was telling the history of Wakanda to young T'Challa at the time. I can't really tell, but it might have been Jubu that was doing the narration at the beginning. So one of them was giving off a narration of the history of Wakanda by telling how it all went down. But several years ago, a meteor hit Wakanda, that area. And that's where the vibranium came from, pretty much. So, after that story has been told, there's a scene that takes off in Oakland, California of, I think it was 1992. Jubu and his right hand and friend, James, were making plans about a shipment or something like that. They also had guns, and then young Eric was playing basketball with his friends. So someone knocks on the door, and Jubu finds out that it's one of the guards, because James looked through the peephole and it was like, oh, it's one of them Grace Jones looking chick. So Jubu tells James to answer the door because they will not knock again. So they answer the door, and he had to confirm that he was of Wakanda. So he branded his lips, of course. So then T'Chaka, the Black Panther, then arrived, and he wanted James to leave T'Chaka and Jubu alone to speak privately. So Jubu insisted that James stay because he trusted him with his life. So T'Chaka granted Jubu's request pretty much. So T'Chaka tells Jubu that some vibranium was stolen from Wakanda. And it all happened at the hands of Ulysses Claw. Now, for those who don't know who Ulysses Claw is one of the main villains in the Black Panther series. He also made his first appearance movie-wise, he made his first Marvel Cinematic appearance in Avengers Age of Ultron, which was a setup for the Black Panther film and the Captain America Civil War and Avengers Infinity War and the fourth Avengers film. So it was all set up for that. So he had a shipment of vibranium on a ship, which Ultron bought the shipment from Claw. So he pretty much digitally shipped $1 billion in Claw's accounts in exchange for all the vibranium. So, but anyway, yeah, it turns out he's been stealing he stole vibranium in the past, and he he slipped away from T'Chaka's hands. But T'Chaka believed that he was aided by someone of Wakanda. Jubu denied assisting Claw to steal the vibranium. Then turns out T'Chaka tells James to tell him who he is, and then James introduces himself as Ziri, and he was also of Wakanda. So he branded his lips, and he turns out that James / Ziri was a spy sent by T'Chaka. So James gives or / Ziri gives T'Chaka the vibranium, which Jubu stole and helped. He also, pretty much. So T'Chaka told Jubu that he had to fly to Wakanda with the king at once to be held accountable for his crimes. So it turns out, at the beginning of the film, the Wakanda ship just left, and young Eric was looking up, pretty much. And he's like, what the heck? So that's how it all started. But then, later on, the scene goes to the present, which takes place after the events of Captain America Civil War. So he takes down a few, traffickers, gunmen, to save all the women that were transported. So turns out that there was a spy inside, which was Nikita, played by Lupita Nyong'o. Her last name's hard to pronounce, but she's an Academy Award winner for 12 Years a Slave, of course. So then they come in, and then he runs across Nikita, and he freezes pretty much, even though he promised one of his guards that he will not freeze. Or he's like, I never freeze. So she's like, don't freeze. So everybody thought that was funny when he froze, pretty much. So also, I'm trying to think. So before they head home, T'Challa informs Nikita that, not Nikita, Nakia, played by Lupita Nyong'o, that he informs her that the king is dead. T'Chaka, who was killed in Captain America Civil War from an explosion held by, which was at the hands of Zemo, who tried to frame Winter Soldier pretty much, but that was all cleared up. But also, as they head to Wakanda, he's greeted by the Queen of Wakanda and his sister. So, of course, they're aware that King T'Chaka died. So, with that being said, they come in and they prep for a ceremony, which was a ritual combat for anyone who's willing to challenge T'Challa for the mantle of king. Everybody refused to challenge him except for one, which was M'Baku, played by Winston Duke. He comes in and he didn't like how things were ran in Wakanda, since the king's dead, since the previous king had passed. He had a problem with that, and he's like, you know what, you couldn't even protect your own father, who was the king at the time. So M'Baku and T'Challa faced each other, and for the throne. T'Challa wins, of course, because M'Baku yielded. And the only way the ritual combat can end is either someone dies or yields. And whoever yields loses, or dies loses, and that person, and the one who's in the winner gets the throne. So that's how it pretty much worked. So yeah, T'Challa wins, and he's crowned king. So he's king for a while, and then after that, the scene shoots to Stevens, also known as Eric Killmonger. He steals an axe or an artifact that was made out of vibranium, pretty much, in a museum in England. So that's where the next scene takes off, in England. So he drugs one of the tour guides, and Ulysses Claw, and some of his men, portrayed, impersonating paramedics, come in and shoot the staff and kill one of the and then they both steal two artifacts. The artifact from Wakanda that was made out of vibranium, and of course Killmonger wanted the African mask because he was pretty much feeling it. So, but yeah, so news gets out that the artifact has been stolen, and then turns out they hear about a meeting between Claw and an American. So Shuri, before they head out to Korea to, I guess, intercept the two, Claw and the American buyer, pretty much. Shuri, Letitia Wright, played by Letitia Wright, was a scientist that helped create Black Panther's suit, and she also gave him a little upgrade before heading out to Korea. So, trying to think who else. One of the characters, Wakabi, played by Daniel Kaluuya, best known for his role in Get Out, pretty much. He wanted to assist T'Challa in capturing Claw because when Claw was in Wakanda, or when he escaped Wakanda, his family was killed. So he wanted revenge against Claw, but T'Challa denied Wakabi's request, telling him that he was needed in Wakanda. So it was pretty much Nakia Okoye, played by Danai Gurira, best known for her role in The Walking Dead. Well, she's Michonne in The Walking Dead, pretty much. But so three of them head out to Korea to intercept Claw and the American buyer. So as they're in the casino, that's where the exchange was going to take place. In a casino, an underground casino in Korea. So it turns out that later on that the buyer was Everett K. Ross, played by Martin Freeman, best known for his role in The Hobbit, pretty much, and of course Sherlock in Captain America: Civil War, pretty much. So it turns out he's the buyer, and T'Challa warns Ross that the that Claw's coming with them to Wakanda to face justice. So, fight breaks out. Okoye's maid, her cover's blown, so takes out her staff. Um, Turns out, well, Claw tried to kill. Well, before they meet up, before Claw, after Claw and Ross meet up, uh, turns out, yeah, Okoye's cover was blown, and then Claw pulls out his gun and tries to shoot Ross, but luckily the case of diamonds saved his life pretty much. So Claw escapes, and they go to they have a little car chase, and Claw comes in, as Claw was the last car to get away. He didn't. Well, he got far enough, but the Black Panther also, pretty much caught up with him. So for those who don't know, T'Challa is the new Black Panther and King of Wakanda. So if I say T'Challa, I'm referring to Black Panther. So just letting you guys know. So T'Challa and Black Panther are the same people. Okay. So he stops. The Black Panther stops Claw from getting away, and then he is in the custody of the CIA. He gets interrogated, and he escapes again because Eric Killmonger comes in and breaches the facility, allowing to aid Claw in his escape. So Black Panther catches up. And then Killmonger uses a grenade launcher a grenade launcher connected to the assault rifle that he had. So luckily, that Panther suit was made of vibranium, so therefore the grenade launcher wasn't able to. The grenade wasn't able to penetrate it. So that was good. But then, as they drove off, he saw the ring that was around Killmonger's neck. The ring that T'Chaka and Jubu had, pretty much. But T'Chaka had his ring, of course. But when he died, the ring was then in T'Challa's possession. But turns out Jubu had a ring too. So then he heads back to Wakanda. W'Kabi's waiting, asking if Claw had arrived to Wakanda to face justice. T'Challa says no. So W'Kabi was very upset about it. But he's like, hey, your father couldn't bring down Claw. And he's like, hey, I thought you'd be different, pretty much. So W'Kabi was disappointed. Then, after that, next scene comes up. Claw, along with his right hand and Killmonger, and of course Killmonger's girlfriend Linda, I believe, we're going to be headed to a plane. We're going to be on a plane, pretty much. But Killmonger wanted to make a stop at Wakanda. Claw was like, hey, that's not a good idea. You don't want to go there. So Killmonger's like, yes, I do. Shoots his right hand, and then Claw uses Linda as a hostage, and then Killmonger shots Linda, and then, Claw gets away, but not for long, maybe like a minute or two. So as both of them playing cat and mouse, pretty much. Claw shoots at Killmonger, but Killmonger shoots him, wounding him. So then, Killmonger, does a double tap and kills Claw. Killmonger heads to Wakanda, and he arrives at Wakanda at W'Kabi's village. W'Kabi's suspicious of who this guy is, like, why is he here? So he gives W'Kabi a gift, and W'Kabi looks at it, and it turns out that the gift is the body of Claw. So W'Kabi asks Killmonger who are you, you know? So then it turns out that somebody arrived in Wakanda, and they had a holographic image of Killmonger. And then before that, Everett Ross informs them that, I guess Shuri, that he's like, hey, I guess he also informs the king that, wait a minute, he's not Wakanda, he's one of ours. He was a mercenary pretty much. So he graduated from Annapolis at age 19, that type of thing. So then he's pretty much, he meets up, he figures out, okay, this is who the guy is, but he also goes to Zuri and lets him know that he ran across someone who had the same ring, identical to his father's ring, pretty much. So then he asked Zuri what actually happened to his uncle Jubu. Zuri tells T'Challa that he promised his, predecessor, I think that's what it was. His predecessor, T'Chaka, who was then king, that he would not speak of that, pretty much, about what happened to T'Challa's uncle Jubu. So then, T'Challa reminds Zuri that he is his king now. So then he tells him this is what happened. So this scene takes place of, that was left. It was so they pretty much continue back to the beginning of 1992, where it all happened. He's like, your father, T'Chaka, sent me as a spy, pretty much, and he pretty much he was an informant, and he betrayed Jubu. And Jubu was so angry that he drew his weapon at Zuri, young James, pretty much. That was his cover name. James was his cover name. But he drew his weapon at Zuri, young Zuri, and then T'Chaka came in and killed, he countered and killed Jubu. So then T'Challa asked Zuri what happened to the boy, because Zuri told him that he fell in love, that Jubu fell in love with an American woman, and they both had a son. So, but after he has knowledge of Jubu's death at the hands of T'Chaka, he asked, what happened to the boy? So Zuri answers, we left him, which I think was a big mistake, leaving the boy there to find his father with panther claws in his chest. But T'Chaka and Zuri did not realize that they created a monster, pretty much. And the goal was to maintain the lie. So in order to maintain the lie, they had to leave the boy. So that was really problematic for T'Chaka and Zuri, considering that 20 plus years later, their past comes back on them. So then W'Kabi arrives with with Killmonger. Killmonger's pretty much chained. So he's like, "Why are you here? What do you want?" And he's like, "Oh, I want the throne." So he's like, "I know who you are." He's like, "Ask them who I am." And he's like, I'm not gonna ask it. I'm not gonna ask that. So he lets people know he speaks in Wakanda language or Swahili that he's the son of Jubu. And he's like, hey, I found my daddy with panther claws in his chest. He's like, you ain't the son of a king, you the son of a murderer. So then the queen, the former queen, Ramonda, played by Angela Bassett, responds she responds telling Killmonger that he's lying. And then W'Kabi then responds or replies by saying, I'm afraid he's not. Shows her and all the council of Wakanda, the Wakanda Council, that he showed them the ring after he was like, no, I'm afraid he's not lying, because he showed him and the council the ring that belonged to Jubu. So he's like, hey, it's my birthright. I want to challenge you to the throne. So then everybody's like, whatever. But then T'Challa was like, hey, I accept your challenge. So then of course they start the challenge, but before they start, Killmonger exposes his scars that he put on his body for every kill. So he killed his way. He killed a whole lot of people just to get to T'Challa. So that's what he wanted to let him know. Hey, I killed a whole lot of people just to get to you. So all this death just to get to you. I was like, wow, did all that. So it turns out that T'Challa had the advantage, but then later on, Killmonger had the advantage. So before, he was about to kill the wounded T'Challa, he says, this is from my father. But then Zuri interferes with the match and says, no, I am responsible, or I am the cause of your father's death. Take me. So then Killmonger was like, okay, I'll take both of you. So Killmonger kills Zuri for causing his father's death. So T'Challa, was like, oh my gosh, saddened by that, and then he tries to kill Killmonger. So Killmonger then again has the upper hand, and Killmonger says, he asks everyone who watches, the audience, is this your king? He's like, is this your king? Him? He's like, the king's supposed to protect you. So then he picks up T'Challa and throws him over the waterfall. Luckily, he didn't hit rocks, but so then Killmonger's like, oh no, I am your king. So then one of the women hesitantly gives Killmonger the necklace. So then Killmonger looks up. The woman puts the necklace on Killmonger. Killmonger looks up, and then everybody does the little X thing on their chest or whatever, as a sign of respect for the king or whatever. So then, wait a minute, I forgot to mention about the heart herb. The Black Panther got his abilities, which was super strength. It was also, I guess, I'm not sure about super speed, but not like Superman and Flash kind of speed or Quicksilver. But I'm trying to see what else. Heightened senses, and I'm trying to think, what else did he have? Because I know he had other abilities as well. So I'm just trying to remember what those abilities are. But, now I remember. Okay. Yes, he was also a skilled hunter and tracker, skilled hand-to-hand competence. Now, the heart herb, which I call the Panther juice, which they had to squish up, and then the herb, and it turned, they made it into a liquid substance for him to drink, pretty much. Um, but yeah, the panther juice or the heart herb, I call it, or what either one, gave the Black Panther enhanced strength, agility, and durability. And so, but in every ritual combat, they have something else to a liquid substance of some kind to take his powers away for it to become a fair fight for the king and the king's challenger, or well, opponent rather. So that's how Killmonger was able to get the upper hand against T'Challa because he did not have his powers. His powers were stripped away, and they can only be given to him after he win. I mean, after he won, pretty much. So, but yeah. So he throws. But after he's crowned, after Killmonger's crowned king, the woman, I guess, smashes the herb into juice or liquid or whatever for Killmonger to drink, giving him the ability of strength, agility, and I guess durability, and I guess heightened senses or whatever, and possibly speed. I'm not really sure about all that, but maybe it was speed. I mean, he seemed pretty quick and everything, the Black Panther did in the beginning of the movie. So, but yeah, Killmonger also had, I guess, abilities as well. So he, strength, because he had the power of the Black Panther. He also had, enhanced strength, agility, and durability as well, along with speed. But Killmonger also was a proficient scientist, like T'Challa, also a skilled hunter and tracker, also skilled hand-to-hand competence, of course, and he was also a alchemical precognition and protection against mysterious attacks, which T'Challa had the same abilities pretty much after drinking the heart herb. And uses high-tech equipment and weapons, including vibranium outfit. So I'll get to that later. But yeah. So that being said, yeah, pretty much Killmonger and T'Challa had the same abilities. So, but anyway, back on point. The Black Panther, or sorry, not Black Panther, Killmonger, after the little ceremony, he drinks the heart herb or / panther juice, and they bury him. And he goes to the ancestral plane, but the ancestral plane was different from the ancestral plane that T'Chaka went to after he won his match with M'Baku, pretty much. He also got his powers back by drinking the heart herb, panther juice, of course, and he was buried. So he was on and he visited the ancestral plane to see his ancestors, including his father. And he was like, hey, I'm not ready to be king. But he's like, hey, as a good man, it's hard for a good man to become a king. So he gets out of the ancestral plane, back to reality, that type of thing. But the same thing happened with Killmonger, except the only difference was in the ancestral plane that he was in, he saw his father again. So his father was like, no tears for me? He's like, everybody dies around here. It's life. So everybody's like, wow. But, he cried, but Killmonger cried later on. So, but I kind of understand the situation, though, because he was abandoned, by his uncle. His uncle, of course, T'Chaka. But just want to let you know that in the comic books, the Killmonger was not related to Black Panther or T'Challa. So he wasn't related. What happened was in the comic books, his father was forced to aid Klaw into invading the country Wakanda. But later, Klaw's attempt fails, and Killmonger was exiled pretty much by T'Challa. So yeah, he held a grudge in the comic books, but in the movie it was completely different because you know he wasn't exiled, but um, he was abandoned because T'Chaka killed Jubu. Therefore, Jubu and uh, Ziri, James, well, young Ziri, young James, of course, left them. So it's like pretty much they just ran from the scene of the crime, pretty much. Well, they ran from the scene, pretty much, which I guess is a crime. If you kill somebody and run, you're pretty much running from. It'll be a crime, pretty much. If you run from the scene of an accident, a car accident, or whatever, it's a crime. So, yeah, he pretty much lied to the whole country, to his people, about what happened to Jubu, and the fact that, oh yeah, they had a son. So, yeah. So I can understand Killmonger's anger, and I can understand where he's coming from, because he grew up without a father. So he taught himself and everything else. Very intelligent. All just to get to the throne. Wow. But anyway, back on point. So after Killmonger gets out of the ancestral plane, he tells the woman who crowned him and also gave him the heart herb / panther juice to burn all of it. He asked her, "Is this all of it?" She's like, "Yes, burn it." And he's like, "Well, I can't do that because this is what we need. We need to have this in case we have another king." So he's like, "Another king? Nah." But I'm thinking, like, wait a minute. But what if you have kids, dude? Come on. If you had kids, you would think that you would want to pass the mantle down on to him. Because if he dies, who's going to be the Black Panther? Don't know. But then again, it might be, that's if T'Challa was dead. It would have been, if T'Challa was dead, it really would have been the, I guess, young sister Siri, princess of Wakanda, of course. So Killmonger threatens the woman and tells her that if he tells her to do something, he means that. Burn it all. So she was forced, her and the servants were forced to burn all of the heart-shaped herbs, or heart herbs, pretty much. But before that happened, Nakia was able to grab one of the heart herbs for her. But before she left Wakanda, she wanted Okoye to come with her to help overthrow Killmonger. But she's like, no, I can't do that. My loyalty's to the throne, no matter who sits on it, pretty much. So Nakia leaves without her. So it's Nakia, Ramonda, and Shuri who leave the country to avoid Killmonger's wrath, pretty much, since they're related. Well, since Ramonda and Shuri are related to Killmonger in the movie, because he's like, hi auntie. I thought that was kind of funny. But anyway, well, everybody laughed in that movie, pretty much, on that part. But yeah, so they go to Umaka's kingdom to offer the heart herb / panther juice to him to help overthrow Killmonger. But Ramonda's like, oh, my son was murdered in ritual combat. But then M'Baku asked the former queen, was it fair? Was it fair? Then he's like, well, yeah. Then it was less of a murder than a defeat. So he's like, that was fair game, pretty much. He's like, he didn't have his powers, and it was a ritual combat, so everything was legal. So there was no murder. Now, however, Killmonger did murder Zuri, pretty much. So, but yeah. But as far as the ritual combat between Killmonger and T'Challa, he looked at M'Baku. Like I said, M'Baku was right. It was less of a murder than a defeat, pretty much, if it was fair, and it was a tradition and ritual, ritual combat. So, but yeah. So then he's like, okay. So then Nakia offers M'Baku the hard herb. So then he's like, follow me. So then they follow him, and then they find, and what do they find? They find T'Challa, who survived the waterfall. So M'Baku informs them that, hey, his fisherman found him and brought him to the kingdom, pretty much. And then they was like, why is he? So then one of them, I think it was either Ramonda or Nakia or Shuri, one of them asked, why is he in snow? So then M'Baku answers by saying that, well, he's in a coma, and that's what's keeping him from visiting his ancestors in the next life. So then he's like, hey, you got the herb? So Nakia was like, hey, I got the herb. So they smushed the herb into juice and puts it in T'Challa's mouth, of course. And he drinks it. And then he's like, okay, bury him. So they bury him in the snow. He visits the ancestral plane once again to face his ancestors, because it's like, hey, it's time to reunite with us, or whatever. So then T'Chaka said, reunite, it's time to reunite with us. But then T'Challa was like, no. He's like, he sits on my throne. And he's like, you should have taken him, you should have brought him home. You should have taken him when he was a boy, you should have taken him home instead of leaving him there. Now you just created another monster. Now he sits on my throne. So he's like, no, I can't reunite with you guys. I got to claim my throne back. So then, Killmonger was like king for like at least a day, maybe a day and a half. But he was like at least king for a day. So he tries to ship the vibranium over to the spies, so that way they could go to war against all of the they're pretty much going to war, so they could be able to fight back or whatever. So as the jets fly off or whatever, one of the planes, but before that was going on, he had a board meeting or whatever about, he's like, hey, we got the equipment and technology necessary to allow countries to defend themselves, pretty much. But Okoye was like, hey, this could start a war. And then W'Kabi was like, hey, that was then, times are changing, so you might have to, people are catching up. So he's like, hey, you got your orders. And so Killmonger was trying to pick up where his father left off, because he wanted to help, other countries defend themselves, because, people are being killed, and yet they don't have the tools to fight back. So they thought the vibranium was the key, which he was right pretty much, but you'll find out later on that there was another way. So, but that being said, let's get back to the part where, Killmonger sends the planes off, the jets, the Wakanda jets or aircrafts off to get the shipment out there, so the spies, all over the world, be able to pick it up. So then he's like, so then one of the planes come down, and both of them are like, what the heck? And T'Challa arrives. And he's like, hey, so Okoye was very happy that the king lives. W'Kabi was very surprised, and Killmonger was like, what the heck? So T'Challa informs Killmonger that he had not yielded and he's not dead. So the ritual combat, the match is still on, pretty much. So he's like, nah, I'm squashing that crap. So then he orders He's like, hey, wait a minute. Okoye's like, wait a minute, but it's still legal. The match is still on. You know, it was pretty much a draw. So Killmonger orders W'Kabi to kill T'Challa. So T'Challa was like, W'Kabi was like, you know, he decided, okay, attack. Then Okoye was like, don't do it. So then, as they charge at T'Challa, or well, the Black Panther rather, Okoye says that he tells Killmonger that he's not fit to be king. So the women, which were aided by one of the characters that were in the not the Black Panther, the Captain America Civil War, what's that woman? Ayo, played by Florence Kasumba. She was one of them Grace Jones looking chicks who who told Black Widow to move or she'll be moved because she was blocking T'Challa's entrance to the vehicle, whatever. So, but yeah, she made an appearance in Captain America Civil War. But yeah, anyway, so Okoye and the other guards, including Ayo, turn their swords against the king, Killmonger, of course. So Killmonger's like, okay. So it turns out he had an upgraded suit, just like T'Challa's. So instead of the Black Panther, it was the Black Jaguar, pretty much, black and gold. So the W'Kabi's men and Okoye had other women aiding T'Challa against W'Kabi's men, pretty much, while the other women faced off against Killmonger. Killmonger kills one of the women, unfortunately. It wasn't Ayo, so I'm just letting you know. So then, later on, he bests all the women, and then Nakia and Shuri come in to try to, fight him off or whatever. They fail, but while T'Challa's getting the crap kicked out of him by W'Kabi and his men, they charged his suit up and little pulse thing going on, little shockwave. Oh, shockwave, that's what it was. It released a shockwave from his suit. So that's what happens when he's being attacked. His suit charged up and then bam, shockwave. So he was able to get to Killmonger before Killmonger killed Shuri. So they both fight off underground, and they have the little vibranium whatever technology that they had down there, which was a train, and I guess the energy was some kind of energy that made their suits powerless. So T'Challa's like, hey Shuri, turn on the train or whatever, and she's like, well, your suit. He's like, if that thing's on with that little energy down there, your suit won't have protection. And then T'Challa says, neither will he. So both of them will be without protection. So their fight their fight breaks out, between Killmonger and T'Challa, he's like, okay, hey, he's like, I'm the future, He's like, how you think I got here? He's like, I beat them at their own game. He's like, you're going to start a war between my country and other countries. So Killmonger had the upper hand, and then later, this time, T'Challa had the upper hand and impaled Killmonger, pretty much. So as Killmonger is dying, his last request was to see the sun set, pretty much. So then he allows the request, pretty much. He grants the request to Killmonger. So then T'Challa's like, hey, we can still save you. And he's like, and be locked up? Nope. So he's like, I'd rather die than be locked up. So he's like, bury me out in the ocean. where my ancestors died, because they knew that death was better than bondage. So Killmonger dies, of course, from his wounds, and then T'Challa's king again. But then later, at the end of the scene, at the end of the movie, the he buys the building or the apartment buildings, which one of them was where his uncle Jubu was killed by T'Challa. So he turned it into Wakanda Help Center or whatever center that of aid or whatever, and Shuri would be running the science. So so the scene ends with the kids seeing the looking at discovering the Wakanda aircraft, pretty much. So they was like, oh, that's the king or whatever. He's like, we could tear it up and sell it on eBay. I was like, man, kids ghetto. But anyway, that's the end of the movie pretty much, and that's the. Forgive me for being very detailed about the movie. I mean, it was long, so. But yeah, normally I'm not very detailed about these kind of movies. I try to make it short, or at least 15 minutes. But I pretty much made this 51 minutes, or pretty much an hour, pretty much. Well, actually, 51 minutes, pretty much. So, sorry about that, guys, but yeah, this will be the longest movie review ever. Now, this is what I think about the movie. I thought the concept art was good. I thought the landscape was good. I thought the special effects were good. I thought the cinematography was excellent. I did have a problem with the screenplay, so I'll get to that later. But, yeah, there were some parts that kind of bothered me about the film. So, I mean, it was still good. I mean, it wasn't that good, but it was still good, so I give it a 90% out of 100. And I'll explain why. Because, one, there were some things that were bothering me. That, if T'Chaka was the Black Panther, which who was, I thought the herb gave the Black Panther the ability to heal. So you would think that he would have survived the explosion. But, I don't know. Maybe he got the powers taken from him or something. I don't know. Maybe because he was too old to carry on as a Black Panther, and decided to pass the Black Panther mantle on to his son. So I'm guessing he probably didn't have his powers when he was killed in Captain America: Civil War. I'm not really sure. But I guess that's one of the things that bothered me. Two, you kill your brother just to protect one of your own people. You leave his son alone. Matter of fact, you abandon your nephew only for him to find his father with panther claws in his chest. And he pretty much knew who it was. So that was pretty much a no-brainer for him. He's like, wait a minute, panther claws. He's like, wait a minute. Because, his father did tell him about Wakanda, and about the king, and about the Black Panther. So he already knew, it was the king that killed my father, pretty much. So he already knew that. And that pretty much motivated him to, graduate from Annapolis at the age of 19 and become an expert at hand-to-hand combat and weaponry, and an expert marksman on top of that. So they created a killing machine, pretty much. All because you killed his father and left him there to find his father's dead body, pretty much. So yeah, that being said, that was very problematic. So that's why I gave that a 90% out of 100, because those things kind of bother me. And they could have, I figured they could have done a little more. It's kind of like they kind of squished. Now, if Killmonger was king for at least 2 days, maybe 3 days, it probably would have been a lot better. That way he'd be like, okay, get back on his feet, plan a strategy, that type of thing. I don't know, that's just my opinion, but yeah, so that was the only problem I had as far as that went. But but yeah, that's pretty much it. But oh, I like the new technology they had for the suit. Uh, I like how they put the gold Black Panther in, because in the comic books Black Panther was black and silver, and later on in the comics he was black and gold. So they were able to put the black and gold Black Panther in there, which was T'Chaka, pretty much. So yeah, that was pretty good. I mean, but there was some flaws in the movie, but yeah, they could have, added some more things in there. So they could have made it at least maybe an hour and 20 minutes, maybe, sorry, 2 hours and 20 minutes. They're 2 hours and 10, but that's just me. So yeah. So for those who are like, oh, why would you give it a 90%? Please don't be upset with me about it. I'm just giving my opinion. So, but yeah, I mean, I still I still like the film, so I will still watch it again and again, pretty much. But yeah, that's. I mean, and I still give the storyline a 90% too. So, but I figured they could have done more. But and another problem I had was that, okay, um, you have Claw, because in the comic books, Claw was the main antagonist. And I'm thinking, okay, Claw's going to be the main antagonist in this film, but it turns out the main antagonist was Eric Killmonger. So they could have had both of them be the main antagonists together, instead of. But I don't know. I just don't understand why you have Claw in Avengers: Age of Ultron, and then kill him off probably in the middle of the Black Panther film, and then have Killmonger as the main antagonist. I don't know. That didn't feel right to me, but yeah. So, like I said, I'll give it a 90 out of 100. And as far as the 5-star deal, I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5 stars, and a 90 out of, well, actually 4 out of 5 stars is the 90 out of 100% anyway. So, but yeah, I'm still gonna give it a 90 out of 100. So, but anyway, I'm gonna give you guys more information about the Black Panther. I mean, for those who don't read the comic book, but I'm gonna do that later on. So later on in this year. So, but that concludes this topic. Of course, sorry for making it an hour, pretty much. But I figured be detailed about it. This time. Instead, I tried to make it as short as possible, but yeah, there were so many important things in the film that a whole lot. So, but yeah, feel free to visit us and like us on Facebook. We're available on iTunes and the Google Play Music app.